Welcome back, everybody. Let's do a quick rundown. I know today's Friday, but I wanted to kind of look at a few things and point a few things out. There's a couple of stocks that look like they're ready to move. There's a couple that are continuing to sell off. And so we're going to try to run through these real quick. I might be able to touch on quite a few of them, but we'll see what happens. All right, we got to go. First up, as always, is going to be the S&P 500. S&P 500 still pushed up, still up and making new highs. And we got a nice little red bar coming in on Friday. The 10th of October. But we're still in the major uptrend, still moving higher, still respecting the 20-day simple moving average. If I put it into 40 would probably be running down around here somewhere. And so we're still in pretty good shape for the S&P. So I think we're going to continue to run higher unless we get some, horrible news over the weekend. But for now, Feds are lowering interest rates, so we may continue higher in a lot of these. Bitcoin ran into some resistance at 127 and pulled back a little bit. Not like it wants to put in a bullish Harami, and so we'll see what happens with that. We got the 20-day coming up underneath to act as some support, so Bitcoin is still looks like it wants to continue to go higher, but we'll see what happens when it's running into this resistance area that happened back here. So we got to close below it, so this may act as more resistance or it may push through and go higher. We'll see what happens. But look for some support back down in here around 116 if it does pull back. Okay, or the 20-day, you may come back and catch this 20 and turn around and head back up. So just keep an eye on that as you're trading Bitcoin. You might want to slow your roll if you're adding at this point. But it's still in an uptrending market, so it's still buy the dip on Bitcoin. Next up is going to be oil. And oil continues to sell off. May find some support down here where it found it before at $60. If not, look out below on oil. Next up, Ethereum. And Ethereum, same thing. Got some sell signs, but we'll see what happens. But look for some support down around 4105 or 4100 for Ethereum if it continues to pull back. Same as Bitcoin. Next up is going to be gold, and gold continues to push higher. Made a new high here at 4,081, and I don't see any reason for gold to turn around just yet, so we'll see what happens. But currently it's pushing higher up into this $4,000 area. We'll see what happens if it falls below this 20 and 9, but we got quite a bit of distance between our major moving averages and our 8, 9, and our 20, so we may get a little bit of a pull back into the 20 and then push back up to retest this most recent high. Alright, next up is going to be natural gas, and natural gas continues to sell off. It's got this big window opened up down here, so we may want to come back down and shut this window before heading higher on natural gas. But currently it looks like it wants to continue to sell off, dropping below our 150 and our 200 and our 20 may act as a support, but we got this window open, so it may just fall on through and come down and shut that window before trying to turn around and regroup and head back higher. Next up is the NASDAQ, and NASDAQ continues to push higher. Looks like everything wants to continue higher currently. We got the silver, and silver also made a new high and got rejected at about $49, almost $50. But it's still in the uptrending market currently too. So keep an eye on that. We may get some pullback into this area here at about, what's that, $46. Got some pin bars here. That pin bar, the low of that bar, $45.71. So I'd say, yeah, $46 is probably a good support area, and I say 46 because it's a nice even round number, easy to add your money when you're talking lots of money, right? Okay, so we'll say it around $46. Next up is Dow, and the Dow's look like it wants to put in a bullish harami right here, but we'll see what happens. And the support, this was a new high at one point, and then now it's another new high here, but it could barely get up through it. Alright, it came back to retest for support and it failed and closed down here, so our support may be down in here somewhere for this new high. So we'll see what happens where it pulls back to, and then we'll reassess our new high. And once we get a nice push up through and come back and find for us and check for some support and then head on higher, then we'll know where that support area is actually at. But currently, we'll see what happens. It's like it's putting in a bullish harami. We got to close below this support area, but not too far from it. And we got the 20 here acting as some support to replace this here. So we'll see what happens if it turns around and heads higher, or if we get another push lower as we head into the next week of trading, October 13th, 14th or so. Alright, next up is the corn, and corn continues to sell off. We may have some support coming back down in here into this area here at around 414, and we'll see what happens where we get to pull back and where we get to stop in, and maybe we'll turn and head back up. But currently corn looks like it wants to continue to sell off as it is in a down market. So you always want to trust red in a down market, green in an up market, and currently red should be prevailing on corn. Looking at Apple should be pulling back. We got a little window opened up here, and so we'll have to see. You may want to reconcile that window there like it did this window here, and so we'll see what happens with that with Apple. If it does want to reconcile that, then we're probably going to get a pull back down into here somewhere, maybe like around 240 for some support or retest of support, and then push higher. But we'll see what happens with that. And this is right here is probably a monthly support here, so we'll see what happens with that. I got this one right here. I was looking at Archer. Archer had a nice push up, ran into some trouble at about $13.81, $14, then pulled back to close this window that it had opened. Now it looks like it wants to turn back up and retest it again, so we'll see what happens with Archer. We may get again a nice say a $1 push or so, $2 push, or it may want to push even higher. We'll see what happens, but it's got this overhead resistance right now at $13 on Archer. So not looking bad really. Nice little push up, pull back. Could be our little J hook here, pull back, and now ready to push even higher. So keep an eye on Archer. There's another one that I wanted to call out. AMD is running pretty good right now. Had this gap up, so watch out for that. Eventually we're going to have to come back and shut this window. So be careful with AMD. Amazon looked pretty good. So Amazon put in this nice pin bar right here at the 8 and 9. Had the support here of the $214, and we had the 150, 200 coming up underneath. Now I put in this bar here at the 20 with a nice little pin bar, which is almost our hammer, if you will, after a doji, and then a big hammer. So Amazon looks like it's ready to turn up and head back up and put in a nice J hook pattern also, and push up through here and retest this 238. So keep an eye on Amazon. If you're playing Amazon, I would be cautious in here. Probably put my stop below this bar here, but yeah, be in it and trust the trade. And then if we get back below low here again, then you have to cut it short. But right now Amazon looks like it's ready to run higher. Next up is let's see, Bank of America. Bank of America continues to sell off. Looks like it wants to come back down into this area here. Maybe check for some support at $49. If that doesn't hold, then look over $48 for Bank of America, but the banks are probably going to start selling off a lot more because the interest rates are coming down. All right, next up, BBAI is one I've been keeping my eye on lately, and it looks like it's ready to turn up and head up even higher. It's that is an AI play, and at a decent price right now. And this one right here, if they can continue to keep getting their support with the government and getting government contracts, then I suspect this should continue to go higher. So keep an eye on that. If Pelosi's buying BBAI, you should be buying BBAI because she knows that they're going to get the contracts or not. You know, let me take that back. If you know who is buying this, starts with a P and ends with an OC, and yeah, you want to be in that too. All right, next up, we're going to skip down to Webull. Webull was looking pretty good. Put in this nice pin bar down here. So we'll see what it wants to do. It came back. So we're in this range here. Came back to retest this $12 area. Then it put in this nice pin bar and pushed up. So we'll see if this thing wants to continue to turn around and head back higher to retest this $16 area again on Webull. So keep an eye on that. Next up is Chipotle Mexican Grill. Chipotle was slowly trying to recover itself. Pushed higher, now it's come back in there to 20, find some support, and then it may want to continue to go higher. Let's see. I had a question about this one here, FLR, from a friend of mine, and so I just kind of pointed out that it was running into some resistance at about $46 or so, about $44, $44.50 or so in there. Ran into some resistance, can't quite push through it, but it does have some support from the 20 and the 150, but the overhead 200 is flat, so it could kind of bounce in between that 200 until that 200 picks a direction, either down or up. But currently it's trying to hold into this range that it's been chopping around in. Put in a nice pin bar back here, and it's chopping around in this range right now. So we can get up above $46 and then come back and retest for some support at around, sorry about that, fix that real quick. Alright, so if we can get up through there and come back and retest for some support at around $44 or so, and then we may be ready to head higher and shut this big old window that it opened. And if that happens, we got a nice, that's a good $13 move right there. If it can just get up through here and start pushing higher. Only problem with this one is volume is really low. So be careful with this particular one. But it is setting up for a nice trade to head higher, but we'll see what happens as time moves up, marches on. Let's do one more, or maybe two more. NVIDIA, testing 195. Put in a nice little doji right now, so be careful with this one. If we open up lower, then we're probably going to come back and retest this 184 area. If we push up higher, we may not have enough to get too much higher because of this doji. There's indecision here in this doji bar, so we'll see what happens with NVIDIA. Rocket Lab ran into some trouble, but it's trying to push higher in the pre-market. So we'll see what happens with that. Hit about 70 in the pre-market, so it's up here somewhere in the pre-market. So we'll see what happens with Rocket Lab. It's going to open up a nice big window on it, so I suspect that eventually it's going to turn around and head back down because of the window. SoFi is trying to get pushed higher, looking for some support. And here got this little, I don't know if you want to call them pin bars or not because of the fat dojis, but sitting at about 28 bucks wanting to go higher, it looks like. But it did open up this little window down here. I don't know if it needs to be reconciled or not, but we'll find out for sure. But that's going to be it for now. Tesla is trying to pull back. It's trying to chopping around right now, but we'll see what happens with Tesla. At the 20-day, it put in this little hammer here. We'll see what happens. It's pin bar and this hammer, so it indicates that it wants to try to go higher, but I'm not quite confident in that. I think it wants to come back down in here until about 395 or maybe lower before heading higher. But we'll see what happens with that. Tesla. It may want to try this 450 again before giving it up, but it looks like it's trying to roll back over and come back down. But we'll see what happens with Tesla. It takes a long time to turn the boat around, so we'll see what happens. And that's going to be it for now. Wingstop has always been a favorite. It's been selling off, and so waiting for it to find a bottom. It may have found it right in here, so we'll see what happens. If it wants to turn the ship around, it's taking it a little bit of time to roll it back around and head back up. And that's going to be it for this morning on the roundup. I don't see anything else that I want to give honorable mention. Lyft continues to look like it wants to sell off. Huge bar closed that window so that it gapped up, so it's shut that window. So it may want to turn around at some point here, so keep an eye on Lyft. And Gus should be selling off because gold is selling off, so keep an eye on that. If you want to play the inverse of that, you want to play drip, which should be heading higher. A nice bar coming in on drip. So what else we got? Costco looks like it wanted to head higher, but of course it opened up a window, so careful with Costco. You may want to come back and reconcile that window before heading higher. And that's going to be it, y'all. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and be careful out there. These markets are crazy.